Cryforth, once home to the most wondrous kingdom the world had ever known, blasted to nothing in just a fortnight. It is here that the fiends of hell walk among us. It is here where all things die. Welcome to Cryforth. Demon invaders roam the landscape and have conquered all. The world is a ravaged and wrathful wasteland, where the old world lies buried beneath the blood and sand with its gods and its secrets. Water is fought over with blood and steel. Compatible with the 5th edition of the world's oldest fantasy role-playing game, this book contains all new character creation options, including all of the familiar classes with new aspects befitting the ravaged wastelands of Cryforth, along with new backgrounds, subclasses, spells, feats, and so much more. New races will allow you to play as the Cursed Ash Elves, the Forsaken Humans, the Primordial Incarnal, the Proud Orcs, the Reptilian Suri, or the Infernal-Blooded Tieflings. New game mechanics such as blood, grit, and effort give your games an intense focus on lethality and survival. Numerous role tables full of ideas to help bring your games to life. Featuring incredible thematic art by Brandish Gilhelm of Ruhammer Games, as well as Lloyd Collins. The people of Cryforth are not heroes. In Cryforth it is courage just to survive. Will you rise to face the tide of demons, or will you succumb to the hostile elements? Available now on DriveThruRPG.com.
A mysterious death curse washes over the land, driven by a powerful artifact known as the Soulmonger. 4 would-be heroes have been sent to the jungles of Chult to destroy the cause of this terrible affliction. Vale, the half-elven paladin, who's just now learning of his divinely granted powers. Ubo, the total monk from a distant land, who's as quick with his wit as he is with his staff. Asimar warlock sent on this quest by her temple, discovering herself in this strange new land. And gunslinger Cole, tiefling artificer and archaeologist who may just dig up more than she bargained for. This motley band of adventurers must work together to brave the poisonous plants, venomous monsters, thundering dinosaurs, and rotting undead of the jungle. Join the omnipotent dungeon master Jake from Mini-Terrain Domain to see if our heroes can find the Soulmonger, uncover the deeper mysteries of Chult, and free the world from the death curse. Welcome to the jungle. Welcome to Chult of Personality.
Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini-Terrain Domain, and this is Chult of Personality, the Tomb of Annihilation campaign that has been missing from your stream for the last few weeks, as we took a brief hiatus on a bit of a cliffhanger, but we are back because we need to know what happens to our turtle monk who is currently grappled in the jaws of a zombie T-Rex. And somehow 2 of you got your cameras mixed up. You guys were right ahead of time.
No. See, what happened was, I don't have a joke for this. I ran out of.
All right, Marquise, turn your camera off, and Mike, turn your camera off. Mike, turn your camera, or Marquise, yes, and now Mike. There you go. They were right. Now they're right again. All right. So, yeah, we're back. I'm going to give everybody a chance to kind of, for those that might be new or have forgotten, just to introduce themselves and tell a little bit about their characters. But there's a new feature here on MTD that I want to go over real quick, and it does affect the game, and it does affect tonight's game for the players. We have implemented a new system that started just last week in the Sunless Citadel campaign. It's a new thing called Domain Dice. For every $5 or 500 bits donated either on Twitch or on YouTube through Super Chat, the players will earn something called a domain die. That domain die is in a pool that any one of you can choose to use to re-roll a horrible dice roll, but you have to take the new roll. Or you can force me, the DM, to re-roll a really good roll and get something crappy. Or vice versa.
Who makes that choice?
You as a group can decide how you want to do it, or if you call out and say, hey, I want to use it, and you use it, it's gone.
To clarify, when you say you as a group, you just mean Marquise, right?
I mean...
I make the decision.
So as you will
God,
see...
you're a jackass.
We can have multiples. Right now, I'm going to start you guys off with... I'm going to roll a d4. I'm feeling generous tonight because we've been off for a while. And it's a 1. So you get 1 domain die as a group. And if we should get donations, if people like you, then you might get some more.
Sorry, Marquise, it ain't happening.
So we're going to go around the horn here and let everybody tell us again who you are and who you're playing in this campaign. And then we're going to get rolling for a couple hours. So we're going to start up in the corner there with Mr. Mike.
All right, hi everyone. My name is Mike, and I'm playing Veilistafal, the half-elven paladin, the most unpaladin paladin to have ever paladined a paladin. True story. And when I made this character, I decided to be like the most unlike the standard cliched paladin ever. This guy is a skeptic. He knows that the gods are real because D&D. But at the same time, he never really placed any stock or any faith in them because, they're extremely powerful beings and whatever. He just wants to get his next meal. Young, poor half-elf who just kind of wandered through Faerun doing odd jobs here and there just to kind of make ends meet until he found, while digging in some ruins to try and find something to sell, he finds this strange symbol, this strange bundle of sticks on a leather thong. And figuring it was a lucky charm, he decided to wear it, and it just led him to the predicament he's in now, not including zombie vomiting T-Rexes. So yeah, that's where we're at, and boy, has it been a trip. That's it. That's all I got. That's all I got.
As a reminder, you guys are all, this is for the audience as well, and me, you guys are all playing 6th level characters. Next up, it's Megan.
Hello, everyone. I'm Megan. I am playing Berlinia, the Azamar Warlock, who has been, she ran away from her temple to see life and to get a taste of what freedom feels like, and boy, has she. So I'm super excited to come back to this and be able to play with this group again. So yay, I'm excited.
Excellent. Next up, it is Drake.
Hey guys, I'm Drake. Sorry about that. I am playing Ubo, the turtle monk, who is currently in the jaws of a undead T-Rex, at bleeding profusely and probably going to die very soon. Ubo's path to this place. It seems like the last session was when he finally figured out that he could actually do some damage, and now it looks like he's about to die. So it's been an interesting journey. So we'll see what happens tonight.
And last in the order is Marquise.
I'm Marquise, I think. I'm here to play not Cole. Cole's dead. I can't, what was the name of my French character in your Gorillas in the Midst game, Jake?
I don't even remember the name of that
I'm
character.
not playing him
No.
either. So this is a what did you say, Drake?
Nothing.
Thanks, dude. Anyway, I'm playing Dunala. He's his backstory is almost completely a mystery. He is a sorcerer, and he is a 1T. Though he was not always a 1T, or so the hints that he dropped seems to indicate. He's a big believer in the power of Ubtao and is currently trying to get Vale to become Ubtao Jesus, but Vale is too cynical to become Ubtao Jesus. Yet we continue anyway.
So that brings you up to speed with everybody. For a quick recap, there's a death curse. They were hired to try to figure out the cause of the death curse. We know it's something called the Soulmonger. And we know that everybody who has died previously and been resurrected is starting to die again, and that there are no resurrections. There appears to be no resurrection magic that works. Also, when characters find themselves on the brink of death, it's a deeper struggle to pull back from the edge. The jungles of Chult are a deadly place, as they've found out, facing numerous undead creatures, facing off against dinosaurs, facing off against goblins of the BADASSERY goblins from the tribe, the Biting Ant tribe. They found a shield guardian that Berlinia now controls by the name of Vorn. They found that their guide that has been with them for about 15 days or so was secretly betraying them to the Yuan-Ti, she herself being a disguised Yuan-Ti. And then while here at Camp Vengeance, a Order of the Gauntlet stronghold, where they seem to be barely clinging on, many people falling ill to the various diseases that plague the jungles, such as Marquise, what's the one that's your favorite? Throat leeches.
Throat leeches. There we go.
Yeah,
Yes.
throat leeches,
Throat
mad
leeches.
monkey fever, all kinds of good stuff. So while they were here, Vale began to tap into some of his Ubtao paladin magic and was doing some healing. Salida was being watched over after a harrowing 24 hours of torture at Dunala's hands, and also being watched over to stay put. Ubo ran into somebody he didn't know personally, but a fellow turtle, a sickly female turtle, who was urging him to go back to the snout of Ubtao, where the turtles hail from. And though he claims no heroic deeds, she said, hey, they don't know that. And Berlinia is also being plagued by the presence of the Weeping Friars, an order that she comes from. And her brother, I believe it's Brother Mateus, is the leader of that group. He is a tiefling that has been seeking her out. And while here at Camp Vengeance, all hell broke loose as a zombie horde attacked. Zombies, zombie Girolons, zombie ankylosaurs. And the battle seemed to be going in the party's favor. Ubo, as Drake mentioned, Ubo discovered, kind of tapped into finally his power to inflict radiant damage. And when it seemed the battle was over, the T-Rex came charging out of the woods straight at Ubo, where it snapped him up in his jaws, and everybody around him heard the cracking of his shell and could see the blood begin to spill out. Meanwhile, Dunala, having placed tracer magic on Salida, has sensed that she is using the confusion and the chaos to attempt to flee. Though with 3 levels of exhaustion, she's moving incredibly slowly and trying to be stealthy. And that is where we are going to pick up in, still following this initiative order. So, having just seen your ally Ubo snatched up in the jaws of this gargantuan T-Rex, who's you've encountered at least one before, Berlinia, what would you do?
Berlinia would yell out upon seeing this, where she is up on the wall. She would yell out in panic and terror, and just immediately outstretch her hands and cast these two energy bolts right at the T-Rex's head in hopes that it would let go of Ubo.
So
I'm in his head.
Yes.
you're casting Eldritch Blast?
Yes.
You better not roll a 1.
I rolled a 12 and a 14.
Hold on. I was gonna say that domain die might get burned really quick.
No, they won't let me live. If that happens, you know that.
All right, you rolled a 12 and a 14.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe near the end of the last session that some of the last words uttered by Dunala, or by Marquise, was, "I'm going to fireball that thing with you in its mouth." So
That may have been true.
I have no doubt.
in the moment,
Bring it
that
on,
may
buddy.
have
Bring
been
it on.
true. Both of those hit Berlinia.
That does a total of 17 damage. And then with her, I can just imagine that she outstretches both hands, these two bolts come out, and then her eyes flash this brilliant white radiant color, and the energy looks a bit different, and she kind of moves it over to Ubo, and she's going to heal him 14 points.
Is that Cure Wounds?
No, it's Healing Light.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. I might be able to get bit twice now and not die. We'll see.
Dunala, aware now of Salida slinking through the camp, you can sense that she, just as a reminder, Dunala, you were on the westernmost tower.
Yep.
With some of the tribal warriors that were serving the camp as well. And
Go ahead.
Salida has moved through from the medical tent and is trying to move around some of the tents, and you can sense that she's trying to move toward that southernmost tower.
Dunala ignoring the rest of the Chultan warriors up here, not caring what they'll say or shout to him as he does this. He is going to begin descending the ladder. He's going to get off of this tower and start heading in a straight line towards where Salida is. And he will dash if needed.
What's your speed?
30. So I would be moving 60 this turn.
You
Or 15
have,
to get down.
with the 10 feet of movement it'll take to descend the tower, you have just enough speed to intercept Salida at the corner of the tents.
Without dashing?
No, with dashing.
With dashing. All right. So then with the dash, once he gets there, he cuts her off. And he looks to her, and Dunala offers just like this very resigned and almost disappointed smile. And he just says one word to her, and that's Salida. And that'll be the end of his turn.
In response, you see her as you show up, her shoulders kind of sag, and her sorry, I sneeze. Her Yanti inner eyelids kind of flash, blink, and she just kind of shrugs. You know, I had to try.
You did have to try. It was in your nature, but I did tell you what I would do if you tried, Salida, and you know the others are too busy right now to stop me.
Vale, you are up with Moyo near Vorn, about 20 feet away from where the T-Rex has scooped up Ubo. And you've just seen what Berlinia did. What are you going to do?
I am going to run I'm going to run or leap down, run towards the T-Rex, and we're going to have some words. And by words, I mean stabs. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, I leap down. I rush towards the T-Rex just as it's, starting to kind of start doing its kind of little shake or a little head thrashing. And I go up and I make an attack. And that'll be a 22 to hit.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, forgive me. That's a 21 to hit.
Still
Okay.
a hit. If Berlinia's 12 hit, your 21's going to hit.
All right. But you know what? Just to be on the safe side. So I'm going to make that. I'm going to expend a spell slot. I'm actually going to expend a second level spell slot to do 3d8 on top of the 1d8. Look, I'm just going to do all the d8 damage.
Nice.
Yeah. So 6. So for the actual piercing, piercing is 12. And the radiant, and then it'll be 18 points of radiant damage for a total of 30 points of damage.
Though there's no rain or no storm, it's as if the storms, the lightning is right there at the T-Rex's feet as you're striking out at this thing. And because I'm a paladin, I'm going to attack it again.
All right.
However, I don't think that's in a hit, because that'll be a 12 to hit.
That hits.
That does hit. Okay. And I'm going to expend a first level slot and make that one not quite as powerful, but still going to make it a divine hit. Brings him down there. So for piercing, so 10 piercing and 15 radiant. So another 25 points of get off my turtle, bastards, damage. And then that'll end my turn.
Berlinia, it is Vorn's go now.
Would Vorn be able to reach the mouth of the T-Rex?
I think we established that Vorn was about 12 feet tall.
So yes.
So yes.
So I would say with his reach, yes.
Excellent. So so Vorn is, or Berlin is going to command Vorn to approach the T-Rex and try and pry open his mouth, like in King Kong style, when he rips off the jaw.
Interesting. All right. What's Vorn's speed?
Vorn's speed is 30 feet.
Okay, you're about 20 feet away, so...
Awesome. So, strength?
And Vorn is going to need to do a strength contest with the T-Rex.
Can I use my inspiration for Vorn?
I will say yes.
Okay. I will do that. Okay, there we go. I got a 23.
Ubo, in the jaws of the T-Rex, you feel... You can hear the cacophony happening outside, though you get only just the movement of the T-Rex's head for sensation, and suddenly that motion is jarred, and you feel the jaws ever so slightly beginning to loosen on you. Teeth are scraping loose from your shell where they pierced it, pulling out of your flesh where it was holding you tight. Your 23 just beat my 21. What's Vorn's strength modifier? Out of curiosity.
+4.
At a +7. And you still beat me. And as Vorn is starting just to release this thing, it's your turn, Ubo.
Realizing this weight is and this pressure is off of his shell, I think Ubo at this point probably thought he was going to be, it's going to be dinosaur dinner. Okay, I'm going to roll for it to see what he does because I just don't know.
Is that a 1?
Everybody see that?
Is that a 1?
That's a 1. So he would do the dumbest thing that you guys could think of right now. As he feels the pressure off of him, Ubo would look at anybody that he could, looking at Val, looking at Vorn, looking over at Brill. And he would do his darndest, hands outstretched, trying to do these radiant attacks, but he doesn't have any key left to do the burning hands. But you would see both of his hands kind of radiating this energy, and he would do his best to dive down the T-Rex's throat. Just trying to punch as he goes down. That's the dumbest thing I could possibly think that he would do with the 1.
Okay, so it's like you're almost like trying to light a lighter that won't light. And just taking that pressure that came off of you to slide down its throat.
And doing some damage on the way. He's going to be punching as much as he can with this 3 standard attacks.
So I'm going to say 1. The T-Rex is considered difficult terrain, but you can't move 30 feet anyway. So you are able to slide down its gullet, in part because the thing is a zombie. Your shell is ripping at its throat, and those of you on the outside would see as part of its throat from the outside is tearing away as Ubo slides down inside this thing. Ubo, I don't remember, do turtles have dark vision?
No.
As you slide in to this utter darkness, you can hear, kind of muffled, but immediately in front of you, you hear this kind of...
This stream needs a mature rating now.
But my hands would be glowing, Jake. My hands would be glowing, so there would be some.
So you're getting that kind of like a lighter flashing, but it's such close confines, and then, and you see a zombie face immediately in front of you, and you realize that this thing's stomach is filled with zombies.
Oh, Jesus.
This is the sexiest combat I've ever been a part of.
Technically, you've only used movement, so you could attack this zombie that's in front of you.
I'm gonna do my 3 attacks with the radiant damage. 17, 15, 21.
All of those are hits.
Okay, hold on. This is gonna be a bunch. Shit. 12.
I'm going to roll a die to determine how many zombies are in this thing.
So that's 9. So that's 12, 10, and 9. So 12, 10, and 9. So it's 31 points of total damage as I'm going down this thing's throat or to whatever zombies are there.
There, I believe the minimum damage you did is enough to take out one zombie. So as you are sliding down this thing's throat, just punching on the, you got 12,
12, 11, 12, 10, and 9.
Okay. Your first 2 punches, attacks, you rip apart the zombie that was in front of you. And as you, inside these confines, pull this thing apart, pressing through it is a second zombie that you just almost instinctively throw that last attack at, and you don't quite kill it. And you can tell there's at least 3 more zombies besides the one you killed inside this thing. And is that the end of your turn?
Well, I'm trying to see if something is a bonus action or not. Give me 1 second.
What is it you're asking about?
A lot of your stuff that's key based is bonus action.
Yeah, but I want to see if total defense is a bonus action or I have to do it as an action.
It's an action.
It's an action? Shit.
Yeah, I actually just... They're in the Mordenkainens as a monster, and I looked it up.
Well, then I have nothing else to do. I was hoping to shell up at this point, but should have done that before I started swinging.
As a bonus action, the T-Rex is going to attempt to disgorge what is lodged in its throat. But because of your shell, I'm going to say that it's going to have a hard time doing it. Are you trying to stay inside this thing?
Yes.
You're answering for Drake.
Honestly, man, it's the dumbest. He would think that he was helping. I mean,
Okay.
I rolled a 1. It has to be the dumbest shit.
All right, roll strength.
20.
You feel the insides of this T-Rex constricting around you. And with Vorn still holding the jaws, Berlinia Vale, you can see as this T-Rex starts going like the biggest... Sorry, Megan. Like the biggest, but it's like this really deep, throaty, just...
It's very deep. I don't know if you're making puns anymore intentionally, or if this is just now an X-rated stream, or what's going on.
I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just using descriptive language. It is trying to dislodge the turtle in its throat. Oh, I see. I said deep throaty. Okay. I don't know how Mike is staying silent during all of this. Yeah, so... But it fails to dislodge Ubo. That's as a bonus action. So now it is going to strength test with Vorn to try to break free of Vorn's grip. So I need another strength test there, Megan.
$19.
The T-Rex just cannot get its mouth free to open it or close it as Vorn is just gripping, and I imagine its fingers are actually almost digging through, snapping the jawbone, like, and breaking skin. So it's legitimately got a hold of the T-Rex's face. So it cannot make its bite attack, but it is going to swing around. I'm going to make it do this with disadvantage because Vorn's got a hold of it. It is going to try to swing around at Vale with a tail attack. Disadvantage, that is going to be... With disadvantage, that's an 18 to hit.
That hits.
As this tail comes swinging around and slams into you, you will take 4, 8... 14, 21 points of bludgeoning damage. As it's like being hit with a tree trunk. As his tail swings around and slams into you, part of it whipping around. And that ends the T-Rex's turn, and we are back at the top of the order with Berlinia.
I don't know that Berlinia knows what to do now. That Ubo has traveled further into the T-Rex. But she is going to just attack it, I suppose, with her Eldritch Blast, just to try and weaken it as much as she can so that maybe Vorn can do some more damage. So that's a 10 and a 16. I assume the 10 does not hit.
The 10 misses, the 16 hits.
Okay, and that's 9 points of damage.
And you can see now that your Eldritch Blasts are taking chunks of its flesh out. And between what you've done, Vorn, and Vale, you guys have done some pretty significant damage to this T-Rex. And if that is the end of your turn, then that brings us to Salida, who is standing there with you, Dunala, where you've confronted her. And she said she had the try, and you said, yeah, remember what you promised to do. And she is going to, in a flash, lunge at you. You see a flash of steel from a dagger as she lashes out at you with a... her attack is +3.
That's a disadvantage, right?
That's with disadvantage. That's an 18 to hit. Oops, you need to keep that open. So you take 5 points of slashing damage as she just slashes or flashes out with this dagger and drives it right into your belly.
Dunala succeeds on his concentration check. Just FYI.
And she's going to use her second attack to twist the blade in place. I'm going to just roll this. Yeah, that definitely worked. So you just take an additional 2 points of damage from that as she twists it. And she's like right in your face as she does this. And seeing you still that she can... You don't seem as affected by this gut stab as she was hoping. She's directly in your face, holding the dagger still. And it's your turn.
Dunala stands there, and he has made literally no physical reaction whatsoever to being stabbed in the stomach by Salida. And he looks at her as she leans in, and he grabs her hand, and he holds her knife hand so that way she cannot pull the knife out of her stomach. And he leans in until the noses are literally just about touching. He doesn't say a word. He just spits on her face. And when he spits on her face, he is casting Chaos Bolt, which I've already rolled everything for. As 19 to hit. I guess she's within melee range, so I can roll disadvantage. And that'll be a 14 plus 8, so that's still going to be a hit.
Yeah, that's still going to be a hit.
All right, that's going to be for 5 points of acid damage. And literally, how low is she? Like, will this knock her out or no?
Trying to remember if anybody healed her up before.
Nope.
So this was acid damage?
Yep.
It's not enough to knock her out, but she's trying. She's trying so hard. Let me make a con check and see.
Mm-hmm.
With this, oh no. she's fighting. Like, you can see she wants to not scream. She can't let go of the dagger where you're holding it in.
Yeah.
And she
And
just starts screaming. Ah!
And
Ah!
this isn't like you know, like some small piddly amount of like red skin burn acid damage. This is like acid attack to your face, right? And like the UK acid style damage. So it's disfiguring her as he spits on her face. I imagine there's like people in the tent who come look out and everything, but Dunala's still just standing there holding the knife in his gut and holding her there as well. That's going to end his turn.
Excellent. Vale, at the foot of the T-Rex, having just been slammed by its tail, and no sign of Ubo. You're up.
Would I have seen Ubo go deeper? God, I can't go. You did this, Drake. You did this.
I'm gonna say because you're at the other end of the T-Rex, at its feet, that you're not really seeing what's happening with its head.
That's fair.
I mean, because Ubo was in its mouth, I don't think you would have the awareness that this happened.
Okay. Then, yeah, I'm going to go back to attacking it some more. I will make... Yeah. So that's an 18 to hit. This is just a regular attack.
Absolutely hits.
Okay, and that will be 12 points of piercing damage. And then for my second attack, that's a 13 to hit.
Yep.
Okay. And that will be 14 points of damage. So just go in like cutting tendons, like at the base of the legs, just trying to cut tendons to kind of hobble it, or at least make it fall, so I can go stab at its other bits.
This thing is, you're just ripping just chunks of rotten flesh from it. And Vorn is up, still gripping its jaws.
Vorn is going to try and retrieve Ubo.
Gonna grab a foot or what?
He's gonna try.
He's gonna.
So, Vorn's gonna reach in and try to grab hold of Ubo.
Yes. What would you like me to roll for that?
Reaching into the T-Rex's throat, up to the shoulder, would not be any kind of a challenge for Vorn. Feeling around and finding one of Ubo's turtle feet, I'm going to say, I don't even know what this roll would be.
Go with athletics.
Knowledge history.
I'm gonna say this is the only thing
This
I
is
think
clearly
fits. Is I think it's gonna
animal
be.
handling.
I think it's gonna be sleight of hand to try to find, because you have to see if it's gonna grab Ubo or a piece of one of the zombies. And here's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do my usual percentage. All right, just roll.
Sleight of hand.
Yeah.
For a shield guardian.
Sleight of hand for a shield guardian.
Okay,
I have 5
I
points
did get
of
an
inspiration to give you. Okay.
With the -1, I did get an 18, so not bad.
Okay, so basically, yeah, finding the biggest thing to get a hold of being Ubo's leg. Now you need to make a strength check. And I'm going to have Ubo roll this. And it's not necessarily Ubo that you're resisting it, unless you are.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know
more,
what the hell's grabbing me. Of course I'd resist.
and I was going to say it's more that you're just jammed in this thing's throat. So you're going to roll your strength versus Vorn's strength.
Yeah, I would fight him. I'm just saying.
Who the hell just said sexual tracheotomy?
So with my bonuses, I rolled a 21. I hit a 17.
All right. What'd you do, Brill? Vorn?
I rolled a 16.
You got a hold of it. Something's got you, Ubo, and it's pulling on you, but nothing's coming out. And I'm going to make a constitution check on the T-Rex to see if it involuntarily pukes up Ubo. It fails its constitution check with an 11. Make another strength check, Ubo.
Okay. That was an 8.
As Vorn is pulling on you, there's this ripping sound as your shell, the edges of your shell, begins tearing into the throat of the T-Rex. You watch as Vorn pulls, and suddenly the T-Rex goes, and Ubo, covered in bile and zombie bits, teeth breaking off the T-Rex with Ubo's shell. Ubo comes flying out, held aloft, dripping,
Dangling by 1 foot.
Dangling by 1 foot like a newborn turtle. Gore dripping off of him as Vorn is holding him. And I'm going to say, because Vale's last attack had pushed the T-Rex almost to the end, as he comes ripping out, the throat slits all the way up the sides, and where Vorn is holding it, as Ubo comes out, the lower jaw and half of the throat just sag down. And in Vorn's hand, the zombie T-Rex collapses. And it begins to fall around you, but not on you, Vale. Only because Vorn was holding on to it. I do need to see.
Thanks for the help, Megan. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so this thing collapses. And as it does so, Vale, you can see, even Ubo, you would see this, and you know that there's 3 more zombies in this thing's belly. And as it's collapsed by Vale, you can see that already it looks like the zombies are trying to claw their way out of the throat of the T-Rex. You're dangling upside down by Vorn, but it's your turn, Ubo.
I think completely overcome with the fact that he's still alive. I think Ubo would just kind of look over at Vorn and look at Val and kind of look over at Brill, and anybody could see. And I think Ubo would just start laughing at how ridiculous everything has just become. And I think, even though he knows that there's zombies in there, I think for a moment he would actually do that racial feat. He would actually do like the defense, the little turtle defense, and go into his shell. But the whole time you would hear it echoing. You would hear him laughing, like this guttural laugh, just like echoing through his shell. For a moment, he just needs to be with himself.
So
after that experience,
Ubo kind of recedes inside himself, and in doing so, because of the gore covering your body, your foot just slips out of Vorn's grasp, and you see this turtle shell just drop about 10 feet down onto the ground. You don't take any damage from that. And as the shells just kind of, you just hear that laughter from inside. Dunala, I'm going to make you make a perception check because you're in a different part of the camp. I need to see if you're going to see this thing that happens next.
All right, I'm gonna spin this domain die because I rolled really poorly, and no one's used it yet. So unless someone has objections to this, cool, no objections. All right, that's even worse. Perfect. All right,
And
that's
the
gonna be a
domain die
9.
is gone.
Yeah. Wasted on a 7. So I have a 9
So you
total.
don't notice. So you're still down dealing with Salida, but Berlinia and Ubo, you don't notice this either because you're turtled up. Berlinia and Vale, you notice a slight shadow kind of fall over the area where the T-Rex is, almost like a passing cloud. And Vale, this happens right in front of you, just as the first zombie is emerging from the carcass of the T-Rex. A second one is on its hands and knees, and the third one is behind it, just peering out from the gore. You hear a whistling sound, like something large and heavy moving rapidly through the air, and a massive ballista bolt pierces through all 3 zombies in the ground immediately in front of you. And the angle that it's come from is a very high angle, as it's sticking close to straight up and down with a slight angle. You actually feel the rush of air as it sings past you within a foot of you. What do you guys do when this happens?
Well, I try not to freak out. I mean, there's I kind of look, and then I'm gonna look back up to where I guess the trajectory might have come from. I assume it'd be like probably on one of the towers or one of the parapets.
As you turn to look towards the towers that are nearest you, and you realize the angle was, those towers are not tall enough to have launched anything at that angle. But now as you turn, you can see a flash of red and the source of the shadow above Camp Vengeance. As you see what looks to be a smallish, but hovering in the air above the camp in much the way that bricks don't, appears to be a boat. And above it is a large red balloon held in place by netting. And at the bow of this vessel, this airship, you can see peering over the starboard bow a little bit is a ballista, and behind it a familiar green sariel known as Dragonbait, as he looks down at you from this airship and just kind of gives you a friendly wave.
I'm gonna wave right back.
Drake,
And I will think to myself, man, they really need to make a game out of that. It looks like fun, just going around spearing zombies and all that. Jeez.
Drake, you just missed that a ballista bolt came out of the sky and killed the remaining zombies. And Vale has just turned to see an airship hovering above the camp.
Cool.
Trying to find a good picture of the airship, but I don't have it in here. So eventually I'll get you guys a picture of this thing. But it's basically looks like a ship that's about 20 feet wide by about 45 feet long, with this balloon that is about 30 feet in diameter, held in above it with this netting. There's some kind of a furnace above it, and now, Dunala, you can hear it. As the furnace is being fired to control, as this airship is now hovering above the camp. Dunala, we're going to go to you, as you are currently still not knowing the fate of your allies or the T-Rex or any of that. You're dealing with Salida, who you've just acid burned. She is holding the dagger in your gut still, unable to move it. But I'm going to say you take another 4 points of damage as you've not made any attempt to pull it out.
I passed my con check again, my concentration.
She is going to attempt at disadvantage. She's going to attempt to break free of your grasp. And it's like a child is fighting against you.
Would that make this like, is it contested or no?
I mean, you sure.
Because I'm holding the hand, yeah. Alright, I got very low. I have inspiration. I only have 1 inspiration. I probably should have used that inspiration instead of using our domain die, huh? Hey! Alright, that's going to be a 10.
It's still as if a child is trying to break out of your grasp. Solita, with her 3 levels of exhaustion, is just too weak to break free from you.
Has anyone come to investigate the sounds of her screaming yet?
There was basically a battle still raging. The tribal warriors and the others were still dealing with the last few remaining. There was one zombie Garrulon that was still kind of caught up in the spiked logs at the edge of the wall, and a couple other zombies that they were dealing with. So nobody's noticed anything yet.
All right. So what Dunal is going to do is he's going to use his other hand and grab the dagger with it as well. So he has both hands on her and the dagger. He's going to take the dagger out of his stomach. And when he does so, he's going to take, if she's so weak, I can just like basically take the dagger out of her hand. Yes?
Yeah, because she failed that check, I'd say yes,
All right.
You can do that.
He takes the dagger out of her hand, and he's still holding her wrist with his other hand. He turns her wrist around. He puts the dagger on the inner side of her arm. He's going to drag the dagger ice pick style across her arm, basically cutting the wrist down this way, is what he's trying to do.
I'm going to say you do it.
Once he does so, go ahead.
In her weakened state, and as you take the dagger from her, she stops screaming, but involuntary tears are streaming down her face. Any semblance of maintaining her human features has slipped, completely unable to concentrate on that. And her snake-like Yuan-Ti features are not all that far off. Her facial structure gets a little more angular. Her nose seems to recede just a little bit more, but the eyes are pure reptilian. But even then, you still see the resignation. She's not begging you.
And Dunal will lean in so that way his lips are above her ear, and he's going to say to her very calmly in both of their shared Yuan-Ti language, "If you can make it to Berlinia in time, I'm sure she will heal you." And then he's just going to drop the dagger at their feet, and he's just going to let her do whatever she wants to do. As she bleeds to death.
As you drop the dagger and release her, she drops to her knees. Her hands are out to either side. The wrist that you slit turned towards you. Blood flowing freely as she just kind of is sitting there on her knees. She looks down at the wound. She looks up at you. As if she's about to say something. And then you just hear... And that cold look, the Yuan-Ti eyes blink one more time. And then just slumped on her knees, sitting like this, her head slowly sags a bit. The eyes staring straight ahead as Solita dies before you.
Dunala has the same reaction that a person would have if he accidentally stepped on an ant, didn't realize it, and kept on walking.
So as this is happening, you just walk away from her. Nobody has seen this. As far as you can tell, none of your party has seen this.
Dunala
Would you look around to see if anybody witnessed this?
Dunala will look around to see if someone has witnessed it, but he also knows that since he has been stabbed in the guts, he has a very valid alibi no matter what happens. So, but he would look around and see if someone's seen this.
I actually have the spell Mordenkainen's metagaming, so I cast that.
So Vale knows everything.
I know that I'm just a character, not even real.
In fact, Dunala would walk into one of these tents, and he would have pulled his robe to the side. He's clearly hemming it up because he's like limping now, and he's showing the nurses the stab wound he has, so that way one of them can help patch him up.
All right. So you kind of go in there, and you're going to spend at least a round or so getting patched up by I forget her name, sister something, the holy woman that Vale had assisted. She is able to heal you. She basically stops the bleeding and heals you 3 points in the process of attending to your wound. And let's go out to Berlinia and get your reaction to the airship that is now looks to be attempting to land in the front part of Fort Beloarian, actually kind of between the tower where you are and the medical tent. As you see you could now see dragon bait up on this thing as it's and beginning to lower down. And you see, as it gets low enough, and with you on the tower, just before it comes down and begins to touch down, you can see the person that is at the helm at the back on the stern of the ship is another familiar figure whom you have not seen in quite some time. The last you saw him, he was going by the name Chill Thomas. It is Artisimber. Now, what would you do?
Berlinia's eyes would be bright and shining. She smiles and she's waving to Dragonbait as she would begin to make her way down from the tower and just outright sprint towards the landing balloon.
And as you run toward it, it's kind of got these like skids. Weirdly, this wasn't intentional, but given that Artisimber was portraying a sort of Father Christmas figure, it's reminiscent of a sleigh, these skids, the way it makes the ship look with its overall shape, and then these skids that kind of hold it aloft. And a rope ladder is thrown over the side that you are approaching. With it sitting on its skids, it's about a 15-foot climb to get up onto the deck. Would you try to climb up onto the ship, or would you wait for somebody to come down?
She would climb up onto the...
You climb up the ladder, and as you reach up, a hand reaches out to help you over. It just kind of, as you reach, it just kind of grabs your hand. This hand is a little bit colder and clammier than you would initially have expected. And as you kind of come up and you find yourself looking into the face of Mary Chultmas, one of the sea hags that you ran into on the beach. And as she pulls you onto the deck, she releases your hand and she steps back a couple extra spaces
away from you, and you can see just coming from the other side of the ship, you see the other two sisters, Carol and Carol, appear to be Artist Simber's crew, along with Dragonbait on this ship. Now, what would you do?
Her happiness and her looking forward to seeing an old friend who she didn't know was dead or alive would immediately be just clouded over with this look of intense confusion and fear as she looks from Dragonbait to Chill Thomas, and just kind of is looking back and forth. She doesn't smell anything, does she, from Dragonbait?
You will catch a whiff. So I was just looking up because I haven't had to reference his pheromones in a while. You are catching a whiff of lemon, which you will remember means pleasure or joy. If I remember correctly, you were the first one that kind of attuned to Dragonbait's pheromone way of communicating. You catch hints of wood smoke, which means devotion, or in this context, just kind of like we're together kind of thing. And the lemon scent is the pleasure or joy at seeing you, because it's been a little while since you've seen Dragonbait. And then we're going to cut down to Vale and Ubo, who are Vale kind of watching from outside as this thing lands inside the camp proper. You've seen Dragonbait, and Ubo, let's go to you first, because you spent a few moments kind of laughing inside your shell. Would you have come out?
Yeah. He would, after a few minutes, kind of get it out of his system. Just kind of happy to be alive, happy to have jumped down the throat of a T-Rex and come out alive. So he would probably kind of, just kind of slough himself off all the guts and grossness, and probably wouldn't have noticed the airship unless Val would point it out. He would.
I think if you looked at the camp, you would only see the red balloon of the airship at this point.
And I think I would kind of look at the T-Rex, and I would look over at Val, and I would say, Did you kill that one too?
Me? No. No. This was all the big man.
I would just kind of look, and I guess Vale is still there, correct? Not Vale, Born?
Yep, Born's still standing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was big man, and that point up to the airship.
When Ubo would just kind of look a little bit confused, but he would just, never mind. It's fine. Maybe we go see what's going on.
Well, yeah, Berlin, you just went up there. One of us should probably go up there after her before she kills everyone on board. She's a little firecracker just waiting to happen. Come on, let's go. Dunala, come on.
Dunala's not anywhere near you.
Oh, well.
You guys are outside the camp.
I'll probably look. I'm gonna look for Dunala, like just kind of look around, and can I see?
You are outside. You guys are outside the fort walls.
Okay, so yeah. So
Dunala was inside the fort walls, so you guys will have to go back around.
Okay. I thought he was in. For some reason, I thought he was in the parapet or on the parapet or in the. Tower.
He disappeared. You would have known he was up there, but you don't see him in the tower.
So I'll start making my way to there, and then I'll change it up and say, hang on, Ubo, why don't you go up there and make sure that Berlinia doesn't, blah blah blah, kill everyone. Go find Dunala, and well, looks like we're gonna have a bit of a ride to maybe wherever we have to go. tell Dragonbait to hold on while I go search around the place.
Dragonbait.
Oh, yeah, he's up there. He's the one that killed the zombies.
I thought I killed the zombies.
Well, I mean, you killed one of them, but there was some more. Look, unless you have a ballista tucked away in your shell, which I don't want to know if you do or not. You didn't kill them.
That's what he tells the lady turtles anyway.
It's more of like a short bow. So, right, if you just go up there, and go tend to her and say hi to Dragonbait, and I'll go around looking for Dunala, and we can head off.
You sure you don't want company?
Oh, yes, fine.
Well, to get to the airship, you both have to go to the same place, which is through the front gate.
Start heading that way then.
Without direction from Belinia, Vorn will just stay where he is, still holding a broken piece of the T-Rex's jaw.
Oh, could I, Jake, before we leave, I'd like to grab probably 3 or 4 T-Rex teeth out of the jaw. Just kind of rip them out.
Given that it's, I'm going to say that it's going to be fairly easy just because of the state of the T-Rex, and Vorn pretty much broke the jaw, which loosened teeth that weren't already rotting out. So yeah, sure. I'll say 4. You can get up to 4 teeth.
Yeah, I'll take 4.
All right, you mark it down. You have 4 zombie T-Rex teeth.
They're about 3-4 inches, right?
Yeah, that's average.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, so you guys are walking around to the side. Dunala, you're probably, once you've received your treatment, would you just be coming back out, or what would you do?
Dunala would go back out, and he would go find someone of some authority, and he's going to point them towards Solita's dead body.
Everybody's attention is on, especially the medical people, having heard the airship land. Everybody's kind of like gawking at this thing. So you'd be able to find, because they are, of course, coming down in this area. I'm going to see which one you find. You find the dwarf Ord Firebeard, who was kind of like the second in command here.
And Dunala would have saw him getting stabbed and Vale healing him, because Dunala was on the parapet at the time, right? So he could have like saw that, or no?
Dunala would have seen what?
Because wasn't he the one who got stabbed? Well, he got shot, and then Vale healed him.
No, that was Niles Bonebreaker, the commander.
Well, regardless, when Dunala finds this dwarf, he says to him, "There was an assassin inside the fear, and they attacked me. I just got healed, but I have killed her, and her body is over here."
We'll be dealing with all the bodies afterwards. We're gonna need a detail to take them all outside and burn them like we always do.
Dunala nods at this, knowing now that these people are not only completely and utterly incompetent, but that he could have actually murdered her in ill faith, and no one here in this camp would still really care. So he nods at him, and then he just walks to a place where he can sit alone, and he waits for someone in the party to come find him.
So in relation to the airship, how close would you be to it?
Not close. He doesn't know what that airship is. He doesn't know anyone on it. He doesn't trust it, so he's sitting off in a corner.
All right. So we're going to go back to the deck of the ship. Berlinia, as you're standing there and you're kind of looking around and seeing a couple of old friends and a couple of old enemies, you hear that familiar voice of Artis Cimber as he comes down the steps from the Stern Castle, and you hear his heavy footsteps as he steps down and comes towards you, and he just says, "Easy there. I know last time you ran into these wicked sisters, They were causing us all a bit of a problem, but rest assured, we have all come to an arrangement that is mutually beneficial. They serve me now aboard this vessel. They will not harm you. And then he comes towards you with his arms outstretched. It is good to see, and he puts both hands on your shoulders and just kind of firmly, it is good to see you again, Berlinia.
Berlinia would just go in and just kind of give him just a big hug. Oh, I'm so glad you're alive. Oh, I was so worried that you had died. Glad you're okay.
It was a bit worrisome there for a little bit with the frost giants here in Chult. I had to keep a low profile for a bit. And now, as you can see, gesturing around at the vessel, I've chosen for a much higher profile. And he gives you kind of a wink as he says that, winking at his own lame joke. So it seems I've caught you in a bit of your own troubles.
It has just been one thing after another in this forest, or this jungle. It's been crazy. We've lost some people.
Oh dear. Where's Vale and Ubo and Cole? Where are they?
Oh, Vale and Ubo, they were just outside the battlement. I'm sure they're in now. Yeah. Cole, she's not with us.
Say no more, Berlinia. This death curse in this jungle, they are taking a lot from everybody. Sindra Sylvain grows weaker with every passing day. And I fear it's probably for the best that you are not in Port Nyanzaru to see the condition she is in. But she has bid me to urge you to continue forth in your quest and hopefully see. To be perfectly honest, I had hoped to run into you much further south than here. It doesn't really seem like you've made a lot of progress. And about this time, Vale and Ubo, you come through the front gate, and you can immediately see the airship parked there. And you can see Berlinia up near the railing speaking to Artis Simber. And you can see Dragonbait on the deck as well. What would you do?
Ubo wouldn't have much of a recollection of Artis Simber. He was polymorphed into a baby turtle back then.
Ah, yes, you don't remember him.
I would remember the hags, but I
You
wouldn't know
don't.
who he was.
Okay, you don't see the hags right now. This could
So,
get interesting.
So I would see Brill just all buddy and just kind of just look at him, but I wouldn't do anything. I'd just make sure Brill was okay.
What about a Vale?
As soon as I hop up, hey, wait a second. But would I have found Dunala and got him to climb aboard?
Well, that depends. So you came in here looking specifically for Dunala.
That is correct.
As soon as you come in, you see the sight of Berlinia talking to up on the ship. So would you continue to look for Dunala is the question.
I'll look up. Well, as soon as I see Artisimber, I'll be like, "Hey, you old gaffer! You all right then?" And I'll just say, "Hang on a minute. I'm gonna go find one of my mates, and then we're gonna come aboard. Just hold on, just a second, and then I'm gonna go run off looking."
He kind of looks over the edge at you and gives a friendly wave, and then just kind of gives you the buddy Christ finger gun and thumbs up, kind of, hey.
Brilliantly blasphemous. Let's go. Yeah, and I'll just.
So, Dunala, are you like just sitting somewhere in plain sight, or had?
Yeah, he's sitting on like a log turned over in the corner of the camp. You probably smell him before you find him because he's smoking when you go to find him.
So I'll say it doesn't take you long at all, Vale. Just a few moments to kind of see Dunala sitting there smoking. You can see the blood staining the front of his robes as he's just sitting there.
I'll go up to him and just seeing the his wound. It's what happened? Hang on a second, and I'll do my lay on hands to his stomach and heal him up for. Sorry, you were down? How many again?
I'm 7 below.
All right, I'm gonna heal. I'll heal you for 7. I'm gonna heal myself for.
How much did you have left after healing everybody in the tent, Mike?
I still had a good 10 left, so I'm down to 3. So.
Oh yeah, you asked him how he got this wound. Dunala looks to you, and he lowers the cigarette that he has in his mouth, and he blows out a ring of smoke. And when you pull your hand away from him, having healed his wound, he says, "Salida stabbed me in the stomach."
Well, where is she? I mean,
me and you had a deal, Vale. Me, you, and Belinia. That if Salida tried to escape, and if she turned violent, I would have done what I should have done the very night that she betrayed us all.
Well, I mean, we did have a deal.
I gave her the opportunity to go seek out Belinia to heal herself, but she chose to die instead. If you want to go say goodbye to her, or perhaps say a prayer over her, which I would encourage, she is currently kneeling by one of the camps with the nurses in them.
I will walk over to. I'll walk in the direction that he pointed to, and it goes here.
You don't have to walk very far, and as you kind of come around the edge of the tent, you see about 15 feet away as her body comes into view, still kneeling, hands outstretched on the ground before her, head slightly slumped, and an incredible amount of blood pooled from a slit in her wrist, pooled around her knees. Her body's still undisturbed from the way Dunala left her.
I assume that she's dead. Like if I try to feel for a pulse or anything.
Yeah, if you go over and check, you can very quickly see that she is in fact dead. Her eyes are still open.
Yeah, I'll probably put my hands over the top and just kind of close her eyes. And I'll just look at her prone form and just mutter, "Didn't have to be this way, Salida." And then I'll just turn around and walk out.
Would you head back to Dunala, or would you head towards the ship, or?
I would head back to Dunala and just to quickly tell him that we were going to the ship and that he should follow.
Dunala will nod, stomp out a cigarette, and follow.
Meanwhile, Ubo, seeing Berlinia up on the deck talking to this person who Vale also indicated that he knew, and what would you be doing?
I think Ubo would just be, he wouldn't be saying anything. He wouldn't know who this person is. As long as Brill looks safe, he might say hello to Dragonbait if he saw him. Kind of,
You
give him a little,
do.
give him a little, walk over and extend his hand and kind of tap him on the shoulder, smiling.
Are you climbing up on the ship?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so then you would see the sea hags. You would see, by this point, Dragonbait is standing right there. And you don't really know who Artisimber is. But what is your reaction when you see the 3 sea hags that you last remember encountering when they turned you into a baby sea turtle?
So where is Brill in relationship to me and everything in these hags?
I'm gonna say as you come up, it's basically Berlinia's right there next to you. It's kind of on your left. Dragonbait is kind of to your right, and the sea hags are about 10 feet towards the opposite railing, just past midship, away from you.
I think seeing that, Ubo would probably panic. He would probably run in front of Brill, put himself between Brill and the hags, and just kind of yell, get down, get down. Just something, just very afraid. He has no idea that these things all happened because he was baby turtle.
Uvo, it's fine. And she would just kind of like put a hand on his shoulder.
But they're the...
Yes, it's... Yeah, it's... Oh, I guess you were a baby.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that again.
Okay. No, it's fine, really. They're good, kind of. They're working for Artisimber here.
Who's...
I believe you were in a bit of a previously indisposed when we met. And Artisimber is a handsome human man who appears to be in his mid-40s, kind of longish brown hair, thick beard with a touch of gray in it, very kind eyes, as he extends a hand out to you. Artisimber, formerly known as Chult Thomas.
Ubo would look over to Brill, like looking for her assurance.
Yeah, and her eyes are shining bright, and she's just smiling. You can see she's very happy to see Artisimber again.
Then he would reluctantly take a step or two over to shake his hand.
He does that thing where he shakes your hand and takes his other hand and kind of gives you a firm shake, and he says, I understand, my friend, your trepidation around the sisters, but I can assure you they are at quite at a disadvantage as per our agreement. And Dragonbait you hear him give kind of a, and you smell a mixture of scents coming off of him and wafting through joy and pleasure and amusement. And he indicates a leather thong around his neck from which hang 3 shriveled black tongues.
I think Ubo would understand that, and he would just kind of nod, and he would look back at Brill. If they try anything. But
you have nothing to fear, my friend.
He would just take a step back and just step Brill. Again, Ubo spends most of this journey confused anyway. So he's just, as long as Brill's safe, okay.
And about this time, Vale and Dunala can make it up the ladder and also join the others on the ship. Vale, it is so good to see you, my friend.
You too? You too, old man. So how are things? Do you manage to just, escape them, or...?
We managed to come to a bit of a deal. We had a common enemy in the Grung in the region, and in the process of dealing with them, Dragonbait and I took an advantage over them. And, well, it was Dragonbait's insistence that we make them an offer they couldn't refuse, and so they are in our service.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I suppose everything's good then.
Well, with me, all is as good as can be expected. I managed to shake the frost giants and make my way further south. I first found my way into Port Nine Zaru, and I was able to speak with Sindra Sylvain. As I was telling Berlinia, Sindra is not doing so well. The death curse is taking its toll. Though she gives no indication of just how much time she thinks she has, I fear her days are growing shorter.
Well, not to be that sort of loafer, but you think we could use your magic ship to get us to where we need to go?
Well, it is fortunate that I found you here. Dragonbait and I have been making passes back and forth across various parts. We actually thought you would be further to the east. We spent a few days off in that direction before Dragonbait insisted we crisscross all the way over here, and we just happened across you today. Our intent was to find you.
You just follow the trail of dead zombies?
So that shipwreckage in the trees, the other airship, and all the bodies, that was you.
Well, I mean, yeah, kind of, yeah. I mean, they were bad.
Berlinia tells me, as he kind of looks around, and he makes eye contact with you, Dunala, standing there, and he just says, Berlinia tells me that Cole is no longer with you.
She is dead, but she wrote fondly of you in her journal. Artist Simba, correct?
That is correct. You know my name.
My name is Dunala. It is a pleasure to meet you. And he offers a smile, hands out his hand to shake. You were a hero to her, so she wrote.
Well, I guess if she views me as a hero, then perhaps I am. Though, I'm just a simple man, making my way through this world as everyone else is. But, it would seem, I arrived in the nick of time, Ubo. We came in just in time to see that a giant... I don't even know what to call it. There's the construct of sorts pull you out of the T-Rex's mouth and end it. However did you find yourself down the throat of a T-Rex?
It was a poor decision. But it worked out. Rather than go into details, it all worked out. And we all came out relatively unscathed. So, it worked out.
Berlinia, at the mention of the construct, you would perhaps remember that Vorn is still standing outside of the encampment to the north.
Yeah, she was saying, oh yes, that's Vorn, and she would kind of call him into the encampment.
And about this point, having waited much longer than fits his character, but seeing his previous wounds, Niles Bonebreaker peers over the edge, climbing up the rope to the ship. Stopping just a little bit short, he looks up at Artis and just says, "Are you the captain of this vessel?" Artis just kind of gives a smile and a nod. "Permission to come aboard, Captain." "Yes, granted, of course." He looks around at the rest of you, and Niles Bonebreaker just says, "I must thank you all for the work you have done in helping to keep Camp Vengeance still on its feet, as shaky as those feet may be." Captain Artus Simba. Captain Simba. And you see this familiar, well, dickishness come from Bonebreaker as he says, "In the name of the Order of the Gauntlet, I'm going to have to commandeer your vessel in our service." I'm afraid that's not going to happen, Commander. And he starts to protest, and he says, "Oh, before you say something you will probably regret." And he gives a nod to Dragonbait, who makes a couple motions and clicks to the three hags, who quickly begin opening a part of the floor of the deck, opening a hatch and working a small manual crane as they reach down into there, and they begin hauling out some crates. "We have brought you some supplies from Port Nyanzaru. I think this will waylay any attempts to commandeer my vessel, which I fear would not go well for you." "Well, yes. Thank you." He seems kind of taken aback. And he quickly barks order. You, up here. We have things to unload." "Ma'am," he says to you, Berlinia, "if it wouldn't be too much of a trouble, we would like to know if you could use your construct to gather the bodies of all of the dead zombies into a pile that we may set fire to it. It is a necessary precaution."
Yes, of course.
"Excellent. This will need to be accomplished within the next couple of hours." And he gives you all a curt nod, and he descends back down. "Well, he seems like a nice fellow. So, it seems we have a couple of options before us. If you find yourself in need to go back to Port Nyanzaru, I can, of course, take you there. But I'm also in need of visiting a friend, and I thought perhaps you might like to tag along. This is not an instead of. If you wish to go to Port Nyanzaru, we can do that. We can be there within 2 to 3 days by this vessel."
I have been exiled from Port Nyanzaru, and if I return, I will likely be killed.
"Well, that does certainly put a damper on your travel plans."
It does.
"That said, I have intentions to travel to the east to meet with a friend, Mawaksa Nare. She's a princess." And he kind of gives you a wink, Vale, as he says that. She's a princess.
Well, that's quite impressive. Is there a way that you can help us get to the city, this fabled lost city of Omu?
Interesting. Well, as it happens, that is one of the things that I want to talk to the Princess Mawaksanare about.
Just for the record, I am never going to say her name. Just period.
When you meet her, you may find that that is actually in your best interest.
Yeah, no, I'll just call you Your Highness or Your Grace or whatever the hell she wants to be called by, but not Milwaukee Patoxicani or nothing like that, because forget it. Nope, not even gonna try. Even metagaming, I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna bother trying.
If it helps, with friends, she is comfortable with Nare. But you'll first have to prove yourself a friend. So, friends, what will it be? Or are you content to stay here in the service of the Order of the Gauntlet? And your friend, what was his name? Niles Boner? I don't remember what his name was. He's kind of a dick.
How long would it take us to get to Omu without this airship? Dunala, how far is it away?
Many, many weeks, especially since we no longer have a guide.
How far is it with the airship, Artis?
To go to Omu? You are asking me to try to find a specific cloud in the sky. They don't call it the lost city of Omu for nothing.
Ubo, if you would allow me, Ubo, I believe it would be smart of us to go to this princess who can help us then go to Omo.
Ubo would look over at Val and Brill. Ubo doesn't make decisions.
Well, probably safer on this than trying to walk through jungle. But
Yeah. I'm with Brill on this one. Let's go visit Princess,
All right.
the Royal Highness. And then we can get to Omu faster. Yeah, I like the sound of that.
Very well. Berlinia, will you be assisting the commander with the cleanup with your construct?
yes, I would need only but an hour.
Very well. We will make the vessel ready, and at your leisure, we can begin our journey. It is kind of midday right now, so you guys have some time, about an hour or two, to do, you can help in the cleanup of the bodies. During this time, Dragonbait actually goes outside of the encampment and goes and retrieves the massive ballista bolt that killed the zombies, cleans it off in the river, and brings it back on board the ship.
Before Berlinia really gets to work, Dunala is going to look at her and he's going to say, Berlinia, you do not strike me as a woman who much enjoys surprises in this day and age. When you are cleaning up the bodies, one of the bodies you will find is the body of Salida. I have killed her. She is the reason I am covered in blood, because she has knifed me in my stomach when she's attempting to flee the camp during the chaos of the battle. Vale has already went and found her body. He can prove everything I have said.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's true that she's dead. I didn't see what happened. But, God, Tunala, we really have to work on your delivery.
Belinda would just kind of nod at you, Denala, and just, I see. I mean, suppose you did make your purpose known. She just kind of shakes her head. Well, I have to go. And she would kind of go off into the medical tent, because she doesn't need to be there with Vorn directing him. She can just give him a command and he'll...
Yeah, kind of. You're able to kind of give him the command to assist with the cleanup activities.
Yeah, and then she would just go into the medical tent and begin to help people heal as much as she can. Probably expending all of her healing stuff.
All right. Is there anything specific anybody wants to do before you get underway?
Get high and pass out on the deck of this flying ship. Has Dunala's entire purpose right now, because he's very exhausted, having been stabbed and casting fireballs and whatnot.
As you kind of finish, Vorn finishes with his activity and kind of comes just inside the gate, covered in blood and gore from all the bodies. There is already black smoke rising from the ditch to the north where the piles of bodies have been burned and are continuing to burn. Artist Simber looks at you, Berlindia. How attached are you to that construct? I fear he's not going to... I don't think we're going to be able to get him on the airship. I mean, you can look around and you can see you've already got Artis, Dragonbait, the three sisters, Vale, Dunala, and Ubo. Moyo pacing around the deck. It's already getting a bit tight up here. And there's a large furnace that occupies the center of the deck where the that provides lift through the giant balloon. There is some rigging that leads up to the top, and at one point you see as Dragonbait climbs the rigging across the netting of the balloon, there's a crow's nest up on top of the balloon itself, but this thing's only 20 feet wide and about 40 feet long. Artist seems more concerned. I just fear we're not going to be able to get off the ground with all that weight. Is there somewhere you can leave him, or someone you would trust him with, or...
To be perfectly honest, we don't really trust Dunala on his own, so that's why we just really need to bring him with us.
That's why I like you, Vale.
Vorn has helped us out a lot lately, but I definitely understand if we can't bring him. But I'm not sure what to do with him.
I have an idea. If Camp Vengeance here is always being assaulted by every bloody thing under the sun, why don't we just find someone here who's good and responsible and not a jackass? And
speaking of not a jackass, you would remember Pern Solhana, the human woman that was also one of the soldiers here, where Niles Bonebreaker's kind of a dick. Ord Firebeard was kind of stern and all military. Pern seemed to be very approachable and was actually quite nice to you guys.
I don't want him going into the wrong hands.
Well, I really don't think that someone's gonna take him on a bloody rampage or anything. Besides, I mean, Vaughn is pretty tough, but he can't really stand up to the entire jungles of Chult, and that's not just a follower of Ubtao talking either. I mean, there's lots of things that'll eventually wear it down.
All right.
I think she'd be good.
But only for protection. I'll talk to her.
Yeah.
Jake, could I get my hands on some, like, something to write with and like a parchment or something? Just kind of pen something real quick before we go.
Yeah, I think you'd most likely in the medical tent you would find that the sisters in there have parchment, pens, and ink where they keep logs of things.
I would just like to take a quick minute and just write down a note and ask the sisters in the tent to give it to the old woman, to the old turtle woman, the one that...
Tielro was her name.
Right. As Vale had healed her, and ask them to give it to her after we leave.
I will see that this is done.
And when she opens it later, I'll tell you what it says.
All right.
Shut up, Mike.
So
So
Berlinia would go find that woman.
you're going to find Pern?
Yes.
Yep, you're able to find her. What can I do for you?
You have been the kindest to us here, and I'd like to thank you for that. And she would take off like the amulet. I'd like you to have this. This controls, with some time, this will control Vorn. But I would like you to make me a promise that you won't use him for violence or to assert yourself. Just let him protect. That is what he is best at.
I'm not entirely sure what to say to this, but I can assure you that Commander Breakbone, though he comes across a bit, well, strong, the Order of the Gauntlet is, at its heart, a good and just organization dedicated to eradicating the undead in the region. It has been very trying, and it is shown in his demeanor. I can assure you that I will watch over your guardian Vorn and ensure that he is not used for any ill gain, for that is not what we of the Gauntlet stand for. He will be used in the protection and in the same manner in which he was used today.
Berlina would smile at that. Thank you.
She takes the amulet and she kind of hesitantly puts it over her neck and she says, "Thank you. So, she kind of holds it up. Do I just talk to it? How does this work?"
Just go up to Vorn. Talk to him. Get to know him. He will eventually share his power with you. And once he does, you will know. And you can ask him to do things. Politely.
Very well. I thank you, and I wish you the protection of the gods in your journey, wherever that may take you. And she gives you kind of a curt nod as she turns to walk away. With that, you all find yourselves on board the airship as the three sister hags begin automatically moving to tend to various areas of the ship, doing, toting barges and lifting bales and swinging the mainsail, whatever, ship terms. Artis moves to the helm, and Dragonbait moves to the bow and kind of mans that ballista that's up there. And you can see that there's actually behind Artis on the stern castle is a smaller mounted crossbow as another means of defense. And the sisters begin stoking the flame in the furnace. And real quick, as they do so, anybody that is watching as the sisters stoke the flame, I would like to make a insight check or a nature check.
16. I wouldn't take my eyes off of them, I'm sure.
Anybody else watching that?
Dunala's asleep, so he's not watching nothing.
Dunala, would you sleep on deck or would you go below decks?
Is there a room below? Are there rooms below deck or no?
If you go below decks, do you go down the stairs?
But he would have went before we ever departed. But are there rooms down there?
Yeah. There's 4 quarters with hammocks in them. One that has 3 hammocks in it that is very clearly belongs to
the sisters.
Yeah. There's another one opposite that appears to be occupied by both Artis and Dragonbait. and there's two other. There's a storeroom in the bow of the ship, and there's two additional rooms with
He goes in one of the empty
hammocks.
rooms. He'd
Okay.
be sleeping in there.
Vale, what about you? Were you watching the sisters in the
Yeah,
furnace?
I might give it a quick once over.
And Berlinia.
Yeah, she would look.
Okay.
That's a 14 for me.
I got a 21.
So Ubo and Vale, as the sisters begin stoking the flame, and it begins to, and heat begins filling the balloon. The flame doesn't seem to behave like normal fire. You can't quite put your finger on it, either of you, but it seems to move in a way that defies normal physics of fire. But Berlinia, you see something in the flame. You see an intelligence. As you realize that this balloon, this airship, is fueled by a fire elemental in the furnace. The airship begins lifting up. You feel a little bit of a jolt as the skids clear. Berlinia, as you begin rising higher and higher, you begin to take on a bit of a bird's eye view of the encampment. And you see about 30, 40, now 50 feet below you as Pern Solhana approaches the statuesque figure of Vorn, and she stops about 10 feet from it, and you see as Vorn drops down and takes a knee and sort of almost like bows before her. And as your airship lifts up into the air and you begin to see the first vapors of clouds moving past the deck, the airship moves away from the camera and begins moving off in an easterly direction. You can see through a misty shroud so much more of the jungle lands of Chult than you've ever seen before. You can see to the south the fire peaks. You can see the coastal area all around. You can see the basin, the Aldani Basin to the south. And the camera lets you move away past it as it swings back down to Fort Beluarian. Or excuse me, not Fort Beluarian. Camp Vengeance, where in the medical tent, one of the sisters watches as the airship flies away. She turns, walks in the tent to the corner where a frail, turtle woman is lying on her cot. She hands her a piece of parchment. And Tialro, the now healing turtle woman, opens it. And what does she read?
It reads her name, Tialro. I've heard everything you've said, and I agree that I should return. But the people that I travel with now have become like my family. I cannot leave them, at least not now. When we complete this journey, when we break this curse, I will return. And if then you still require my service as an elder, I will accept it. But until then, I cannot. Please bring this back to the snout and let them know. I hope I can see you again. And he would end it, even though he was never really a part of the order, he would end it with a prayer that she would understand, written in probably like Aquan or something like that, if you could write in Aquan. And it would just be all about having faith in the gods and that where we are is where we should be. That'd just be it.
And as she reads this letter, she looks up towards the roof of the tent. She closes her eyes and says, "Perhaps one day, Ubo, you will become a hero. May Ubtau's blessing be upon you." And that is where we are going to end tonight's session. Real quick, shout out to Forge Breaker for the raid. And I know it's not bits. I know it's not a donation, but I didn't account for raids. And these guys came in and raided us at the tail end. So congratulations. You guys have earned yourself another domain die for use in the next session. Hopefully... some people will remember that they have inspiration as well before they immediately burn that.
What?
But this has been episode 27 of our ongoing Chult of Personality Tomb of Annihilation campaign. We're back on Sunday nights now. I'll have to fix that graphic that I put up that still says Mondays. But we'll be on Monday nights at 8:30. These are roughly 2-hour games. So thanks everybody that tuned in. Mike, Megan, Marquise, and Drake. It's good to be around the virtual gaming table with you guys again. And with the arrival of Artist Simber, Dragonbait, the sisters, the Hag sisters, and the airship, your adventure has taken a very definitive turn, hopefully for the better. So I know Drake needs to get out of here, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to just say our goodbyes. I'm going to, we're just going to wrap it up, and we will see you on Thursdays. Tune in here on YouTube and Twitch for episode 3 of the Sunless Citadel with Scotty McFarlane from the DM's Craft, Vanessa V from the Crafting Muse, Jeremy Lilly from Erasmus Expeditions, and our own Megan from Dice on Ice as we continue that mini campaign. Thanks everybody, and as we always like to end our games, omitted and